Happy Tuesday, legends. We've had an awesome video uploaded from Mitch, so make sure you do check that out. It's been viewed by over 3,000 people already, which is so hectic, and I'm glad that he's getting traction because he deserves it. He's a Jet. He's in the top 4,000 already, which is such a better start than last year, and he provides some incredible points on what he's doing this week, how he went, where his players are at, and just a nice different perspective, which is awesome. We have Scoop and his video tomorrow, and we also get Nikki's Q&A video. They all have different perspectives, and it's a massive help for all of you guys. It's helping me as well. I don't usually go back and listen to my own content, but it's great to have some videos and some podcasts on the channel that are really helpful for you as a fantasy coach and for myself as well. And please do go hit subscribe, like the video as well, and follow on podcasts as well if it's a bit easier for you at certain times, whether you watch on video sometimes, especially if people are going through their sides, and then also on the podcast in other times. But in this video, we're going through the next 3-game impact. I've dropped off game 1 and 2. I fixed up my ladder a little bit to go through the sides that have the harder draws, the slightly easier draws, the medium tier, and then some of the easy ones as well, which is cool. And green is what you want to see on this list, and you don't really want to see red. The yellow's in the middle, and the orange is that slightly harder, which is helpful as well. And my ladder right now, I just updated it into the tiers basically. So you still got Melbourne, Penrith, Cronulla, and Brisbane in the hardest tier. You've got Dogs, Manly, Canberra, and Newcastle. Roosters have moved back up to 9th after being 11th, and congrats to the Wars. You've moved into the yellow tier instead of being down the bottom after how poor they played in round 1. And this will change week to week. If I think that the next few games are going to be slightly easier for a certain team, I'll change that up. And then you've got Roosters, Tigers, St. George, and Warriors. I've got in that slightly easier tier. And then we've got Titans at the top of the green, the bad tier. We've got South Dolphins, Para, and the Cowboys. So Para and Cowboys, definitely the bottom feeders right now. So we'll go through that, guys. We've got the People Squad, so the private group People Squad. We got 900 points. We'll go through that. Some potential thoughts around this squad as well, which will be good fun. And then moving along to my tips as well. So may as well start with the tips while we're here. I have changed a couple of these around. I've started with Storm at home against the Panthers. And after Panthers lost, I think it'll be tough for them. But Storm are coming off the bye, and they played really well in round 1. Will they be able to get in the arm wrestle against the Panthers here in round 3? That's going to be the question. But at home, I think it's going to be a really, really good game for the Storm. So I am going to select them in this one. The second one, I just literally changed it. I went, what we do usually see is the Roosters, any team that goes up against the Panthers and has a really tough clash. They do have a few people coming back, but they've also had a lot of their guys just really absolutely give it their all to win that game against the Panthers, and they back it up on Friday night over in New Zealand. That's a pretty tough thing to overcome. So I did change my Roosters tip to the Wars right now. They played really well last week. Manly did not, so that's what I'm concerned about. That if Roosters come over and bring close to their A game, I think that they can win this one. But at this stage, I am tipping the Warriors, and 64% of people are going the same route. Broncos will smash my Cows. I can't believe 3%. They'll have to be all Cowboys fans that tipped the Cowboys there. Sharks should really win pretty candidly against the Bunnies. They've got 2 good wins, Bunnies, but I think this will be their loss with the Sharkies at home. The Finns, I think they'll go down to the Tigers, even up there at their home ground. That's going to be helpful for them for sure. Back at home, that's the big lift, and that's the thing that worries me. Whereas the Tigers, we know that they got a good win on the weekend. Will the Dolphins be better than what they faced in the Eels? Yes. How much better? So I think at the moment I'm going to tip the Tigers. They looked like a team in full force, and I think if they get off to a good start in this game, they'll be hard to run down. Knights. Someone just posted that the Knights don't win up in Titans land, but Titans really need to fix things. Basically, from what happened last week, they were very, very poor. They're giving me Warriors vibes from last week coming into round 2, and people wrote them off like myself, and they came back and played really well. Titans had no structure in attack. Defensively, they weren't very good. And I definitely think that they can come out and win this. So I'm tipping the Knights in a close one. I think they're playing better footy right now. they haven't had two very difficult matchups either. So Titans came up against the Dogs, who are a better matchup. And I definitely think the Titans can come away with the win in this one. At the moment, I'm going Knights, but this could easily change depending on team lists and everything else as well. Eels and the Dogs. I will be tipping the Dogs, even without Matt Burton and Kickow. They should be good enough to beat the Eels, even at home. And then the Seagulls up against the Raiders. The only reason I've gone for the Eagles in this one, and congrats to the Raiders, they've got a lot of backing, 53%, even though they're not betting favourites. Not even close at the moment. And Eagles at home. If Turbo's not there, I will tip the Raiders. I think that'll be the play. Lehigh Hopewadi would go at the back, and that would be cool. Is it just going to be the 1 week for Turbo if he is out? Doesn't matter. We need to make our decisions for this week only. Raiders are playing better than the Eagles right now, but they should bounce back after a very terrible performance. And if DC is there and Turbo's there, I'll select the Eagles. If they're both not there, I will select the Raiders, even in Brookvale. So that's my tips for the round. I got 6 in round 1, 4 in round 2. Tipped the margin, not too bad. I think I missed it by 20 odd or something so far, which is better than a few others out there at the moment. So that's cool. Let's go through the next 3 games. So Titans up top. Their draw starts to get a little bit easier. I just mentioned they could likely win this one and they should bounce back, but they've got no red all the way until their bye in round 12, where they've got Melbourne and Brisbane following that. But it is Newcastle, Roosters and Dolphins, followed by Dragons, the next 4 for them, which is a really good time to target a few of these guys. We've got Beaufort Moore and Tino coming out and playing really well. Then you do have Brimson, who's an easy hold, and JC, so Jaden Campbell as well. I think he will play a lot better this week, and it should be a fun one. I think it'll be a fairly close tussle. There should be some points in it, which will be good. If the Titans can fix up their attack a little bit, improve their defense a little bit as well, that could really help them. Storm, they've got the Penrith Panthers, followed by Dragons, Manly, and the Wars. So for them, I do think a lot of their players are watchers this week. You've got Munster, Jack Howarth, the people are looking at. Harry Grant needs a big return game for them. So Storm are interesting. I think you can wait the 1 more week, especially in Supercoach, given they've only played the 1. Same with the Titans. You could wait 1 more week with those players there. So that's what I'm thinking with the Storm at this point. Wait the week. Pretty much all their guys. Stefano, if you did hold on to this point, you didn't sell him last week, then you probably are a good chance of being able to hold him again. Dragons, they have the bye this week, followed by Melbourne. There are a few guys that are looking like targets from round 4, Toby Couchman being one of them across Supercoach and Fantasy as well. Tuipulotu up over 500k, hasn't had a price change in Supercoach yet. So they're a couple of guys to have a look at, and Gutherson as well if we do happen to lose a fullback in Supercoach. That's where you're looking at Dragons, I think, at the moment, apart from Couchman in that middle and potentially an Emre Gula, but we are likely to see Dave Clemmer come into this side as well. Newcastle Knights, they have one more fun game. I think it will be a harder clash than the last 2 that they've had, but it is the Titans, a free-flowing game it usually is, followed by the bye. Then it's still Dogs and Tigers, so it's not anything crazy at all. And then they have Cronulla, the Warriors, South, Titans, Para, and don't have a bye for a long time following this round 4 one. So if you do own a couple of Knights players, hold on steady, get through this one, this bye in round 4, and enjoy the spoils following that. I'll be trying to do that in Supercoach next week, and in Fantasy I do have a couple, and they'll be held for sure. Can you target them this week? I think Greg Marzu's the last guy that you can target at that price point before their buys. The Warriors, they have the Roosters and the Tigers, so it's not a terrible little couple of matchups. The bye in round 5, then it's Melbourne, Brisbane, so it does get harder from there. So you really want a couple of good scores from your Luke Metcalfs and Chanel Harris-Tavita if you're targeting those couple of guys over the next few weeks for sure, with that little run before their bye. It's not super exciting. At least the next few should be solid, and you can go from there. If you have any doggies, they have Para, Cronulla, Newcastle. It's a medium draw with a nice one in this one. And as soon as that game started, I was like, oh, who have the Dogs got next week? Sorry, who have Para got next week? Oh, they've got the Dogs. Super exciting. I've got Preston and I've got Matt Burton. And then, of course, Burton goes down. But 3 games before their bye in round 6. And then it's a pretty solid draw after that. So Dogs plays you can hold through that period very comfortably. For the Cowboys, it's still a tremendously difficult run. It might be the most difficult of the 3 weeks, apart from what the Rabbitohs do have. But for Brisbane, Canberra, and Penrith are the next 3 weeks for the Cows, and that's where people are looking at potentially a Jackson Purdue to a Stafford Toa, a Riley Smith, these types of guys. And I can't see Purdue making any cash until following their round 8 bye at least, and then they do come up against Penrith not long after that. So they're a team that attacking players would be very hard to take a punt on, and Broncos, I think, smash them this week. Eels, they come up against Canberra, Manly, St. George. Then it's Canberra again. Canterbury, I should say, not Canberra. Canterbury, Manly, St. George, Canberra, and then the Tigers. So it's a pretty solid run for those boys without being too tough. But they haven't had to play like the most difficult teams in the comp, and they're still getting absolutely hammered right now. It was 32-0 with a couple of minutes to go against the Tigers in that one. So if you're playing the Eels, you're excited. If you've got Eels players, Hopgoods, these types of guys, they are clear holds. A few of the others are worries, like Dylan Brown. If you own someone like him, Yongi, definitely a worry over the next few weeks, but we'll see how it all plays out. Eagles, they got Canberra, Para, and Melbourne. That's not super easy. The Para matchup in round 4 is going to be great, but around that, with Cronulla following that in round 6, it's a fairly tough draw until their bye in round 8. So it doesn't open up at all. You just got this one lovely clash wedged in amongst all these tougher clashes for sure. So if you're holding guns, that's fine. Olakau'atu, Garrick, these types of guys. If you want to sell Turbo with the worries around his hamstring in fantasy, sweet. Supercoach, it's a much easier hold because he is such a superstar compared to what he is in fantasy. Roosters, they got the Warriors into the Titans and the South. So guys like James Tedesco aren't a bad shout at all, to be honest with you here. I think he can come out and have a really good little stretch of games. Then it's Brisbane, Penrith, which gets harder as well. So Roosters will be fun. Connor Watson doesn't really matter, how it's going to be for him. Then you have the Panthers. They got Melbourne into South, North Queensland, Dolphins. So it's a really good stretch. They have the kind of stretch over that period. So from round 4 to 6, it looks nice and pretty. And this week is the tough one, and then you've got to get through that. But they should play pretty well against Melbourne. It'll be a tight clash. There should be some good scores still in there. Maybe not tremendous scoring from some of the outside backs, but I think through the middles and the edges, it's usually a high quality type of game with ball in play, which is always good. But have a look at those Panthers guys, especially from the following week. Tigers, they've got the Dolphins, they've got the Warriors, and they have Brisbane over the next 3, which doesn't look too bad. Dolphins wise, that'll be sweet. You had the good one last week with the Eels. Can you target these guys? Look, I don't think you're going to get too hurt by targeting like a Dewey or something like that. This week should be a fun clash, and then it does get a little bit more murky following that to see where the Tigers are actually at. Rabbitohs, they have Cronulla, they have Penrith, and then they have the Roosters. It's a pretty tough stretch of games. I wouldn't be targeting any attacking players. I think Humphreys will be fine. I don't think he'll go 70 over the next couple of weeks. I think he'll be down closer to the 50 number, which is still great at that price point and as a scorer in your 17, but he comes up against a couple of tougher opponents for sure. Hubner, a hold. Broncos, they have the Cowboys, the Dolphins, and the Tigers. They 100% have the best draw over the next 3 weeks. It's not even close. Cowboys, they should smash. Dolphins, it's usually a closer matchup with them, but I think they'll be able to put on points, and Tigers should be some points as well. So they have the best draw right now, and it's not hard to see that one. Do you target like Arthurs and stuff? That's awkward. Cobbo, I don't think is the worst pick in fantasy. Arthurs in Supercoach, on the other hand, you need to grab, I think, with that run. Dolphins, they have the Tigers, the Broncos, and the Titans. So 2 out of 3, not bad, but then it's Penrith, Melbourne. So can you target those outside backs? Probably not. Middles, they should be fine. Sharkies, they've got South, Doggies without Kickow and Burton, and then Canberra over the next 3. So it's kind of, they've got that orange section of Manly, Newcastle, that kind of like semi-tough teams, which will be okay. But they're good enough to do really well. And I think this week is going to be a great week for Sharks players. And they only have one bit of red until round 13, which is the first minor bye. And then the Raiders, they have Manly, Cowboys, and Cronulla over the next 3 weeks, which one really easy one medium one, and one semi-hard game for them, followed by Parramatta, Gold Coast and Dolphins. So this will be a fun one for sure. This week, I think with Manly, it's going to be such a tight tussle. If you are targeting a few guys from those sides, definitely not a problem. You know, we've got Nicholson, we've got Starling, we've got Horsburgh. Foggy's doing good things. People looking at Seb Chris. You got Tamale. You got Xavier Savage coming back. There's lots there, and I really hope Tamale keeps that spot in the side. That's for sure. So that's the next 3 games. I hope that would help for you guys. We've got the private group. A little bit of a chat now with round 2 for our boys there. We got 900 points, which was okay. We missed out on having one of those gun wing fullbacks from the Knights, only owning Dylan Lucas. So 66 for him, but our wing fullbacks were the tough ones. Garrick, Brimson, some lower scores for them. They should be better. Yongi with 17 as well. So this week we've got Tamale on the bench. Also, Munster comes back. We've got Jackson Purdue in the centres, and we could definitely make a few improvements. The thing is here, we don't have to worry about cover for next week at this stage, which is good. We have Horsburgh already. We have Nafahu White making some cash. We got Lucas, we got Humphreys, Cleary. We have Yo. Unfortunately, we have Watson with Gilbert. So there's some good things in there. Mamazella's 59. We don't have Hubner, which thankfully for this team, not having him hasn't hurt us too much, apart from the really good score last week that some of us, like myself, didn't even take, and some cash gains. But Safe Fast in there at 467 and looking fine now after that decent score. So I asked the people what they were thinking, and there was a lot of holds, which I thought was fun. Looking at the side there, that's 17 with Tamale in it now. I've taken Yongi out. I've moved Sandon Smith into the starting side and Cam Munster as well into that 17. It does mean playing, White, Gilbert. It does feel a little bit weaker, I suppose, in the edges, but you've got Dylan Lucas, who's a gun edge down below. The odd thing we could potentially do, some of the people said hold, some said Jackson Purdue to Stafford Toa. Could be decent with 42k in the bank. I think we're actually just short anyway. Yeah, he went up 40k to 290, so we actually can't get to Stafford Toa just from that one straight up. Jack Cole is the one that could go to Stafford, and that could improve the centres a little bit. But do we need it this week? Maybe not. We used one trade last week, which is obviously helpful and solid. But where's the improvement in this team? Like, is there something clear you could do? Yeah, you could do an up down. You can go a little bit cheaper from like Yongi down to, if you want to get fancy, it's down to like Riley Smith, and that banks 100k, leaves 140 odd. That you could go up with Seyfarth to Nicholson or something like that, but it feels a little bit gross making those types of trades. Brimson should improve, Garrick should improve, Yo should improve, Gilbert, that was the floor game for him. We get Munster back, Seyfarth will be pretty solid. Yeah, I think there's definitely an improvement in this side. It's not bad at all. We're 18,000 overall, which is where a lot of good coaches are. A lot of good coaches are below this as well. Only use the one trade. We may not use any this week as well. Payne Haas is the worry, and I'm actually surprised no one said go Yo to Payne Haas, but we don't actually have enough cash straight up for that. So I like the patience that the private group is showing. So thanks so much for listening into this one, guys. Let me know if you do like the structure of having the 3 things in one on a Tuesday. Just allows me to not make an extra video, and I can put it all in one rather than just having a tips only video. You know that Tuesday morning we come, and it's an easy way to remind you to do your tips as well and go through the people squad a little bit and that next 3 game impact analysis. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you in the next video.